no be me do one. All of the progress where you see in my life, no be me do one. No be me do one. No be me do one. Be me God Almighty, Almighty, from one place to the other.
Welcome, Akwaba, to Akomobako Studios. We have Yao here that I'm going to interview today. But before we start, I'd like to give my deepest condolences to the family of Kobe Bryant, who died tragically yesterday in a plane crash in Calabasas Hills. So we have Yao here, and I would like to have an interview with him. He's my poet partner, and I would like to introduce him today. Yao, can you begin by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much. I also want to extend my condolences to the family of Kobe Bryant. You know, I'm not a big fan of basketball, but we all heard of him.
Yes.
He's one of the greatest of the game, and
Yes.
it's sad to, for his life to end in such a way.
His daughter.
Yeah.
He and his daughter.
Yeah, and his daughter too. Thank you for inviting me to Akomobako Poetry Studio. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Yaweji Oyafe. Officially, I'm Ernest Oyafe, but I don't usually use the Ernest. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Sumi, in the eastern region of Ghana. I attended Sumi Secondary Technical School, where I read science. So I'm more or less a scientist. From there, I went to the University of Cape Coast to read laboratory technology. And since then, I've been working as a laboratory technician, whether it be it in the hospital, whether in the industry, and now I'm in the school, working in the school lab. I'm also a student. I'm currently reading my Master of Public Health at the University of Ghana. But my passion is poetry, and so I'm here to talk about poetry. Thank you.
When did you first fall in love with poetry? When was your first, identification with it?
I've always loved poetry. You know, when we were back in primary school, when we were asked to write essays, we will write, it will be marked, and the teachers will come and they will be like, how were you able to come up with such a creative piece?
Yes.
So that gave me the idea that, I could write. I've always had the idea that I could write.
Okay, that's good. Yes, I've always been that way too. I've always loved writing and expressing myself in words on paper. I'm a lot better on paper than I am in speech and talk, because I'm a little quiet, I'm a little shy. I know people won't believe that who know me, but do you think Ghanaians love poetry? So if we put a poetry platform out like we're trying to do you think Ghanaians would be
I think Ghanaians love poetry. Poetry is something that is very creative. It penetrates the soul, the body, and the mind. And Ghanaians are people who like good things, very deep things. So I think Ghanaians like poetry, but the issue is Ghanaians are not being fed enough poetry.
Yes.
Yeah. So I believe if Ghanaians are fed, if we have a lot of poets who keep feeding Ghanaians with quality work,
yes,
then the love Ghanaians have for poetry will show for everyone to see.
So do you think that long poems, written poems, will they read the longer poems, or should we just try to stay as concise as possible in order to keep someone's audience when we come to a poem.
I believe it has to do with the quality of the poem.
Yes.
No matter how long the poem is, if the quality is there, if what is being written on the theme catches the reader,
yes,
I don't think the reader will have any problem with the length.
Right. Okay.
So
okay.
I think it has to do with the quality.
The quality and what it's saying.
What it's saying.
And actually, does it tell a story or does
Exactly.
it just kind of fizzle?
The reader must also relate.
Yes,
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 yeah.
yes. It has to be
What
something
is
relatable.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, let's say, have you ever been outside of Ghana? Have you ever traveled or?
I've traveled to Nigeria. I've also been to Togo. Yeah, but
anywhere outside of
Africa, no. I actually got a opportunity to. I got a visa to go to China, but unfortunately, I couldn't go. So I haven't traveled outside Africa before.
Okay, and you're in school right now. So right now, is school on a break?
Yeah, we are on vacation right now, but we are still working on our thesis.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So what do you think yours will be so far? You don't have you have any ideas of what your thesis will be?
I'm working on. I'm trying to find out some of the hazards exposed to petrol station attendants.
Okay.
You know, those people who are employed to fill in vehicles. You know, as they work day in, day out, they are exposed to a lot of hazards.
Yes.
Some of these hazards include inhalation of the fuel, of the fumes. Some of them will stand for a long time. A lot of hazards.
Yes.
Some fire. You know, the fuel is very flammable.
I've heard that there was a large explosion at one of the gas fill-up stations in Ghana.
I think about 2 years ago.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is to investigate what are the hazards, what causes them, what do they lead to, and then how can we prevent them.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working on.
Let's say, what is your publication journey to date? Have you published anything?
I'm here to actually have a target. I am trying to come up with a poetry book.
Okay.
I want to publish it by the end of the year. I'm still doing the writing.
Okay.
I've given myself some timeline. By the middle of the year, I should be done with the writing.
Okay.
Then I will see how the publication will go.
So, do you think, how do we keep poetry in people's, would it be a better idea to write poetry that are in stories, in story form? How do we keep, how can we keep poetry active in the minds of people? Now, not just Ghanaians, but throughout the diaspora, throughout the world.
I think.
And how can we use it as a unifying force to bring people together?
I think, from my observation, I think people like poetry that comes in the form of music.
Yes.
So maybe the person is reciting, but there's some sound
in the
beat at the background, that kind of.
Yes.
And then I also think, and that's what I try to do. People like it when the poem rhymes.
Yes.
It sounds good to the ears. Yes. So that's what I try to do. No, anytime I write, I try to make sure it rhymes.
Yes.
So, but no matter what, the message must not be lost.
Right. Yes. Exactly. It has to touch the soul, touch the spirit of the person who's reading it. Exactly. Okay, so one of the areas that I struggle with when I'm writing a poem is the editing and making sure that it's understandable by everyone. It's hard because it's so many different dialects, and it's, especially when it comes to grammar, checking the grammar. Not, do you struggle with that? Do you have any issues with that?
There are some challenges with respect to that.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully for me, I have a friend who is very good in the English
that's
language.
always a good thing to have someone who checks your work. Do you have other? At least I know about your blogs, but could you tell everybody about your blogs and where they can find you on?
Okay, I'm not on many social media handles, but I'm on Facebook as Yaweje Oyafe. I'm also on Twitter with the same name, Yaweje Oyafe. Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking particularly about the Miraki blog that you have, and because you introduced me to that, and I didn't know about it.
That's true. I'm also Miraki. The same name, Yaweje Oyafe.
Yes.
Actually, that's where I share all my works.
Yes, I follow you in there. So how do you feel that you have evolved in your writing through the years? When did you begin writing?
I actually took my writing seriously about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Back those days, I had problem with the use of personification. I couldn't. It was difficult. Couldn't relate natural stuff like I couldn't incorporate them into my writing.
Okay.
But now I think I've developed. I'm now better at that.
Okay, that's good.
The use of, at first, using figures of speech was quite challenging.
Okay.
But I think I'm now better.
You've improved. And so, what do you think has helped you to do that, to make the improvement in your writing? What do you think? Is it having a good editor, or is it being in any type? Are you in any type of groups that might have an effect?
I think a lot of factors come into play. Reading works of other poets, there are some great poets that we are all looking up to. Reading their work, constant writing, can also improve. And then, as you said, having someone to read through your work.
Right.
And then,
someone who has an appreciation.
And having your peers, other writers around.
Yes.
So all these, I think, are playing a role in my improvement.
Yes, indeed. With the Komabako, we're going to strive to get more writers, artists involved in creating a community of, we're seeking to promote unity and amongst writers. Do you think that is a doable thing here in Ghana? Do you think that there's going to be enough people who are interested in this?
I think it's a very, very good idea and very achievable.
Okay.
Especially looking at the direction of Akomabako, trying to bring all black people together.
Yes.
Last year, we look at the year of return, it was amazing.
Yes, it was indeed amazing.
There are black diasporans trooping into Ghana, and they love poetry.
Right.
So if Akomabako is going to be an avenue throughout the world uniting black people.
And that's the goal, is to start a renaissance, like the Renaissance of old. You know, there was a Chicago Renaissance, there was a Harlem Renaissance. This one, I want it to be an international renaissance of poets, writers, hip hop artists, all around the world coming together to bring unity amongst black people everywhere. It's too many times that I've heard an African American and say a person of African descent on the continent having conversations in groups where the conversation goes to why can't we be united, and then they start this name calling that's just ridiculous. It's insane. They start talking about, well, it's because, I heard that Africans feel this way about us and Americans feel this way about Africans, and that's all crazy because we're distant cousins. We are the same people.
And even when you come to Africa, you have Ghanaians and Nigerians attacking each other.
Yes.
Come on, we are one people.
We're one people. We need to begin to look at ourselves the way the colonizers and the enslavers looked at us. They didn't see tribes. They saw one people. All they saw was black people.
Nigeria,
and we need to start to look at each other the same way.
Nigeria, yes. Togo, they are all artificial boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
We have accounts in Ghana, accounts in Cote d'Ivoire.
Right.
We have Evers in Ghana, Evers in Togo,
right.
and even some Evers in Benin.
Yes.
So those artificial boundaries shouldn't be anything that divides us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
we should
come. Yeah.
We should be able to come together. And when I walk through Ghana, until I open my mouth, no one knows that I'm not Ghanaian. They don't know. I'm just a black woman in Ghana, just like every black woman in Ghana. So, and when if a Ghanaian walks in America, they don't see that he's Ghanaian. They're not gonna look at him and go to Ancestry.com and start looking up his history and where, they're not gonna do that. They're just gonna see a black man and that's it. And they might call him a different term, which we don't want to use. So we need to have that conversation. We are the same. We are the same people on the out. That's what people see on the out. It's good to be tribally correct and to love your tribe and your heritage. It's not a bad thing. I'm not putting that down. I'm just saying that as a people, we are one.
We are one.
Yes,
Sure.
we're one people. So that's what a Komobako means. It's for the unity, for one heart, and to bring together of Africans everywhere, uniting Africans everywhere, anywhere on the world. I also want to ask you, I don't know if I have already, but what motivates you to continue to write, even though I know that, with poetry, many times you don't get the kind of notoriety or
attention.
The attention that you.
I think as I write to tell my story,
Yes.
as you said.
Me too.
I'm a quiet person, just like you said. So
Yes.
how do I get how I feel to the people?
Yes.
I have to put it into writing.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Me too.
So as far as I have a story to tell, and as far as I think putting it in the form of writing is my way,
Yes.
then I'm going to keep writing.
To keep it, in a sense, it's therapeutic. You can get your feelings out on a page. When something happens and something that's either traumatic, like I'm already planning a poem on Kobe Bryant, you know, because that was a very sad incident that occurred. So yes, you can, it's a way for you to express your feelings.
Yeah.
And if you consider every song that's well written starts from a poem. It's a poem. Every hip hop that you hear, and if you really like, and the words, it all started from a poem.
Yeah.
Someone wrote out a poem, and then they set it to music, and that's what it is. And I mean, if you really listen to the words, some hip hop they don't have many lyrics to it. Yeah. So I agree. You know, rhyming helps in the delivery of a poem and holds the writer's attention. I also like to use alliteration and metaphor. But what do you feel is a way to keep someone reading, starting, you know, keeping them reading to the end of a poem? How do you?
I think I said the use of rhyming and other figures of speech. People get hooked to poetry when there is some instrumentals playing at the background. That catches people's attention.
Something to keep them motivated to continue.
Yeah, so that's it. And I also think when what is being read or recited has something to do with the person listener's own life,
Yes.
there's a relation.
Yes.
Then the people get hooked to it. And
Okay, so you wrote a piece for the year return. Did you submit it?
I tried everything I could to make it something like the official poem for the year of return, but unfortunately I wasn't successful. But I can also say I was successful because I found a way of sending it into the diaspora.
Okay.
And I know some people that got motivated by my poem
That's good.
to come to Ghana for the year of return.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's good.
So even though I couldn't get the people in charge to accept it, I found a way around to make it useful.
And what was that? Maybe putting it out on, what did you do?
I put it out in various groups on Facebook, various Diasporan groups on Facebook.
Okay.
People read it, they got excited, they wanted to come to Ghana.
That's good. That's great. And that was the whole purpose. That was, if it was, the purpose of the year return was to bring people in. And so, yes, that was great.
I also played a big role in making the year of return a success.
Okay, so would you mind reciting that poem that
Sure.
you did? Okay,
Sure,
good,
sure.
good. And can I ask you one other question? Why do you think it wasn't accepted when you put it out there to?
I think it comes back to the whole perception people have, especially the Ghanaians or Africans, about poetry.
Yes.
The interest is growing, fine, but we still haven't got to that level where people are madly in love with poetry. So
Right.
there's this kind of cold attention towards poetry, which can only be overcome with constant exposure to poetry.
Okay, Akomabako family, we're going to take a short break and we're going to be back with Yao after this message. Welcome back to Akomabako's studio productions, and we're here with Yao. He was about to recite a poem that he wrote for the year of return. Yao?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so this is what I wrote. The title is 2019. Your spirit has been yearning to return to where you belong. For 4 centuries, Mama Africa has been waiting to hug and kiss you. This is the time for this dream to come true. Mama Africa is calling, and your spirit is wailing. Ghana is the gateway, and it is open this year to all who were carried away. Calling on all black diasporans, Europeans, Caribbeans, and Americans. 2019 is the year of return, and we must allow the fire that burns Africans to black diaspora to forever burn. Come and connect to your roots. Come and taste Mama Africa's sweet fruits. Fruits of unity and hospitality. Fruits of black identity and spirituality. Whisper this message to a sister and to a brother, and all enrobe in love. Let us do this together to make our race stronger, to make Mama Africa greater. Mama Africa is calling, and I am believing that you shall be responding.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's
Thank you very much.
heartfelt. I would have read that as an American. I would have been reading that and thinking, I gotta go home. They're calling me home.
Exactly.
Yes. That's beautiful. Thank you.
To rally people to come to where they actually belong.
That's right.
Where there's
That's
no
right.
racial discrimination.
That's right. Exactly. Thank you. So you wrote this piece for the year of return, and why do you think it wasn't widely accepted? Why do you think that they didn't use it? Why do you think we didn't have more poetry events during the year of return?
The perception, the acceptance of poetry in Ghana and Africa in general is still not the very best. Yeah.
Yes.
So people still don't have that much interest in poetry, and I want to believe that's the reason why it wasn't used as the official poem of the year of return. But
it's a powerful piece, and it really speaks to me as an American, and I'm sure would have spoken volumes to the people in the diaspora. But of course, there was a great turnout, but it would have been even greater turnout to know or to feel that Ghanaians are themselves are welcoming us back to come home. Why do you think? What do you think the challenges that poets are facing today to actually? I know that there's several great poets that have been before and are passing. Do you think that it's a passing art?
Poets face a lot of challenges. The biggest of all these challenges is the acceptance.
Yes.
People, especially Africans, haven't accepted poetry the way they've accepted music. So they will move heaven and earth to buy a song or do whatever to attend music shows and all that. But they don't have that same interest for poetry. Even though I believe the interest is rising up as the day goes by, there's still more work to do. There's still more work to do. And I believe the interest can go up closer to that of music if poets up their game, they keep writing, they keep organizers come on board, organize poetry shows, people cooperate organizations get involved, sponsor poetry events. We have to take poetry to the doorstep of people.
Exactly. I agree.
When this is done, I believe that the interest of poetry will go up.
I don't think we should let the art fade. We've had some great poets who've passed. Maya Angelou. We've had just in recent years. I don't want to see the art fade. I feel like every song that's written started from a poem. Every song, every hip hop song, they all start from a poem. So we can't let that art fade. So what do you think that we can do to persuade young people to revibrate their interest in the spoken word, poetry, and what do you think?
I think we must ensure, or we must work hard to ensure that we all get to that level, that where poetry pays.
Right.
Yes. Poetry pays. Poetry pays closer to how music pays, a lot of people will get involved.
Yes.
Because the person might be considering a lot of things if he or she wants to enter into poetry full time.
Yes. Exactly.
Am I going to get enough to feed my family, to live a good life, to all that? A lot of things come into his or her mind. So if you get to that level where poetry pays, at least something closer to that of music, then we are going to get a lot of people getting involved.
Right. Yeah. We'll light a fire. Yes. So who are some of your favorite poets?
I love poetry, so I read almost any poem I come across. But if I'm pushed to the wall, I would say my favorite poet will be Muta Baruka, that Jamaican artist who combines poetry with reggae music.
Yes.
And when we come down to Ghana, there are a lot of great poets, like Nana Asase, we have Rhyme Sonny, we have, and then there's this lady who is coming up very, very, very good. Her name is Joan Ketia. They are all doing well. They are doing exceptionally well, and I love everything that they are all doing.
You introduced me to a poet, Yao. His name is also Yao, and I really, I read some of. I've listened to some of his poems online, but he is a Ghanaian who is in the diaspora. Am I correct?
Yeah.
I can't think of his last name, but his name is also Yao. So why do you think there were no poetry events this year for the year of return?
It's the acceptance. The whole thing became something like a business. So the organizers were putting or considering a lot of things before accepting or inserting a program into the events. So they were going to consider, is poetry going to pull the crowd that we need?
Right.
And I think they are aware that poetry, the interest in Ghana is down. So probably after all this consideration, they decided not to. But it's very bad. I think we all need to work to put poetry on that level.
Yes. We boost people's interest and keep the interest afloat. Yes, I agree. Okay, we're going to sign out now, close out the segment. And I would like to thank Yao for allowing me to interview him today. He wants to do a final poem to close out today. And Yao.
All right, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. It has been a very successful interview. And I want to end it with this poem, Ubuntu Africa. I am a Ghanaian, I am a Nigerian, I am an Ethiopian, I am this, I am that, and only I should benefit from my country's wealth. Never let that be your song. For I once sang this selfish song myself, until my blackness got awoke and I got to know that I was wrong. Ubuntu still sits on the shelf, crying out, this is not where I belong, feeling wordless and lonely all by itself, saying aloud, embrace me and you all shall forever be strong.
Great, that's wonderful. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Okomabako family. We will see you in another week. Thank you.
Whatever God give, nobody can replace, nobody can take. I see a brand new day. All of the things that I done, I go on my knees and God still here. I know it is not by might, it is not by power, everything by God.